Today, let's talk about chapter 9, the knowing mind. Okay, so we will mention about memory, thinking, and a lot of things. I will first talk about memory. So what is memory? Memory is defined the ability to retain knowledge. And a lot of cognitive psychology see memory as a part of continuum of information processing. So we can divide memory into 3 stages. First one, encoding. Second one, storage. And third one, retrieval. First, we talk about encoding. Encoding is refer the process of acquire information and transfer it into memory. And storage is last anywhere from fraction of a second to several seconds. So human memory does not generate exact records. Instead, some of the information stored and later reconstruct. So I will mention reconstruct later, and there are some error happens in this stage. And the last stage, retrieval. Retrieval is the function that you find the information again when you need it. So actually memory has provided adaptive advantage, and it helps us to respond quickly to the immediate challenge. And now let's talk about the type of memory. The first is the sensory memory. Sensory memory is the first stage. We call this Atkinson-Shaffery model. And for the sensory memory, it is hold a large of incoming data for brief amount of time. So in this stage, the sensory memory is really easy to be faded, and sensory input is translated into several several types of codes or representation. So I will talk about 3 main codes. First one is called visual codes, just story of information about visual image. Second one, haptic codes, are used to touch and other body sense. And the third one, acoustic code. Acoustic code is about sounds and words. So incoming data will we need to collect incoming data until the incoming data make enough sense to process further. So I will talk about the second stage. It's called short-term memory. So short-term memory, it's it focus, like for example, short-term memory is that none of the information are processing short-term memory unless you pay attention. So it need us to pay attention to. So I will put it into a whole. So first we have a sensory input, and I change it into sensory memory, and then I go it into short-term memory, right? Okay, so if you want to repeat information over and over, this process is called rehearsal. So it's like a cycle, and this process called rehearsal. So data in the short memory are easily displayed by news. So if the rehearsal is not insufficient, then it will be replaced and the data will be lost. So we have a limitation in short-term memory. For example, 5 to 9 item is our limitations. And another way for short-term memory, we use chunking. Chunking can help us easily memory. And what else? Another memory is called working memory. Working memory, we can see it is a process of it is an extension of short-term memory. So there are difference between working memory and short-term memory. The difference, one is that the working memory can actively manipulated. But we know that for short-term memory, it should passively assimilated. And second, it can process a lot of things simultaneously. But short-term memory cannot. And now I wanna talk about explain the model of working memory. So for the working memory, it has three things. First, we have a central executive. The central executive has a function of manage the components and resetting, directing attention to particular task, because we have so many tasks and we cannot use it all, so we just use our attention, and then it will divide it into three main functions. The first one is called Visual Spatial Sketchpad. So for this function, it is mainly hold the visuals and the spatial information. So for example, when you describe the route from the classroom to your dormitory, it uses this function. And so it's like dividing attention. And second, we have the phonological loop. The phonological loop is a working memory component and responsible for the verbal and auditory information. So we will go to the last component. The last component is episodic buffer. For the episodic buffer, it is a mechanism for combining information. So chunking is one of the way why we use chunking so great. It is because we have the episodic buffer. So I will connect with this. Okay, so this is how our working memory work. And now I will move to the last type of the memory. It is called our long-term memory. So our long-term memory has few limitations and capacity or duration. So it's very strong. So of the two types of we have rehearsal can divide it into two types. One is maintenance rehearsal, which means simple repetition of the material. So it's simple repetition. And the second one is called elaborative rehearsal. So which is involves linking the new material. So elaborative rehearsal is a more effective way, and the benefits can be explained using the level of processing area. So we have attend to many levels of detail, like the visual appearance, sound of the word, and meaning of the word, and actually visual, sound, meaning, and we know that the meaning of the word is more easily to remember. So this is actually the ease of retrieval, and this is like the level divided. And I want to talk about what is the difference between the working memory and long-term memory. So in addition to not sharing the limitation of duration and capacity, long-term memory has been really unique in a lot of ways. And one of the way is that it has the serial position effect. So one is the primary effect. It's like the first item list will be more easy to recall, and the last item to read will be also easy to recall, and we call it recency effect. So we can remember a small amount of information for a few seconds, but experience enormous difficulties when trying to store new information in the long-term memory. This is one of the diseases. And also we have another disease like has the ability to form new memories, but working memory was seriously impaired, so it's really different. So what is the type of long-term memory? When we talk about type, we'll divide into two parts. One is the declarative memory, and the second is non-declarative memory. So we also have another name. This is called explicit memory, and this is called implicit. So talk about the declarative memory. We have two things. One is semantic memory, and the second is episodic memory. So we can distinguish these two along 4 dimensions. It is the type of information processed, and the organization of information in memory, the source of information, and the last, the focus of memory. So in these 4 ways. So semantic memory, this is provide us objective understanding, and episodic memory provide us subjective experience. So sometimes these two will have overlap. And when the two combine, we will give it, and blend it, we'll give it another name called autobiographical memory. And a small number of people who identify the disease called HSAM, highly superior autobiological memory, has really perfect recollection of the memory, such as the accurate time and the place. So now we talk about the non-declarative memory. It has also 3 types. One is some classical conditioning, and we have mentioned before. Second is a procedural memories. And third is priming. Talk about the procedural memories is how to carry out motor skills and procedure, which are really difficult to describe in words. And so, for example, you ask a driver how to drive a car, but he cannot describe in words. And for the priming is because you have the pre-exposure to related stimuli. So, for example, you will read an advertisement they have seen previously, even if you cannot conscious to see it. So, also, we will focus more on the related words and remember it's faster than remember faster than unrelated words. So this is our memory part. So how does the long-term memory to organized? We have a connectionist series called spreading activation model. This is a connectionist serial. To propose that people organizing general knowledge based on their individual experience. So we have using the word schemas. Schema is expectation about the objects and situation. So you will expect a book appear in the professor's office but not the farmer. So how? And now we go to the retrieval part. How can we retrieve? First, let's talk about how can we retrieve from the short memory. This is many characters say A, F, H, K. So I want to recall H. I should recall first C and A and F. So this is the order. And for the long-term memory, it's quite different. We have a lot of rules. First, we can use cues. Cues can help you to access target information. So cues might work. For example, we have encoding specific city. It's like when you remember the knowledge and listen to music, and you take the exam also listen to music or in the same place. It can help you retrieve faster, and it's really unique and specific way. And also mood and other internal state can also be a coding cues. Second, the tip of the tongue. You can retrieve the first letter of the atom. And actually, during the retrieval, we have experienced reconstruction of our memory. So when retrieved, the information can be used to flow from long-term memory back into working memory. This is doing retrieve. And when every time you retrieve a memory, it will be vacant and then require consolidation. So actually, I will mention some concepts. It's like the newer memories are more susceptible to reconstruct. Like old memory has been consolidated in your mind a lot of time. And also our eyewitness testimony is not reliable. And the third one is our fuzzy trace. This suggests that we use precious resource to form different type of memory based on our needs. And last part is source monitoring. It's like you will have internal source, such as I saw that something, and external source, it is like that happened. And the last thing, our retrieval will really related with emotional event. So for example, we'll sometimes have the flashbulb memory, and we'll just recall the terrorist attacks such as 9/11, and also the chronic stress will influence our memory and maybe reduce the quality of the memory. So after talking about memory, I want to talk about the last part, forget. So forget, we define forget as the decrease of ability to remember a previous formed memory. So it is quite related in our prefrontal cortex areas. So I'll divide into many things. First, decade. Decade is not like if we do not use things sometimes, and it will fade it our time. This is decade. And second, interference. Interference is between the competition between the new and old information. So we have two types One is called proactive interference, like the things before this event will influence. And the second is retroactive interference. The things after it will influence. And the third type is motivated forgetting. People will tend to remember things that will help bring the positive feeling emotions. So we sometimes aims at relieving the distressing symptoms without reference to their source. So talk about the biology of memory. First, in the synapse. One of the major processes responsible for change at the synapse level learning is called LTP, long-term potentiation. So it's like the enhancement of communication between two neurons. So both memories and LTP can be formed after brief exposure to stimuli. And the working memory in our brain. The working memory does not occur separate, and instead, the phonological loop and a visual spatial pad actually use the same posterior part. So use in verbal and visual. So this is really special. And last, we want to talk about long-term memory. So for the long-term memory, the declarative memories in the hippocampus is clearly participate of the consolidation of semantic and location. So it's like re-experienced episode memory. And we have mentioned some disease such as anterograde amnesia. It's an inability to form new memory. And declarative memories in our cerebral cortex. It is appear mainly the semantic memories. And it will related to Alzheimer's disease because of the more dramatic memory. And our episodic memory. Also affected by the damage of the prefrontal cortex. So talk about the last part of our brain, the small basal ganglia. It is related to Huntington and Parkinson disease, and typically remain to learning new procedures. So one of the important things is called acetylcholine, is called ACH, and it's the encoding of new information. So another things in MDA, in methyl D-aspartate, is learning related change. So after we talk about the things, how can we improve our memory? First, practice our time. Distribute practice and as opposed to massed practice. Second, take test. Third, interleaving. Different topics and blocks are like AA, BB, CC, but interlearning is like ABC, ABC. And also exercise, enough time sleep, and recite. And the final things is use mnemonics. This is like, for example, ocean, the acronym to help remember 5 major objects. So this is our chapter 8, and first one, we talk about memory, and we have 3 stages, and we have sensory memory, short-term memory, working memory, and long-term memory. For the short sensory memory, we have 3 types. For the working memory, we have central executive, this one. And for our long-term memory, we have a lot of levels, and especially declarative memory, not declarative memory. Declarative memory has a semantic and episodic. Now declarative have priming, procedure, and classical conditioning. And for the forget part, we have 3 ways: decay, interference, and motivate forgetting. So this is our chapter 8.